Today, we're delving into something truly transformative within you. Are you ready to dive deep into the magic that lies within the power of your own mind? So we're about to embark on a journey that can reshape your reality. Now let's talk about something that has been on my mind lately, the incredible influence of our energy centers. There's a lot of talk out there about placing stones over these centers, thinking it's some kind of magical healing. Well, let me tell you, the real magic lies in where you put your attention. Stones might look pretty, but they can't do the job that your focused intention can. We're going to focus on the first 3 energy centers today. These centers are not villains. They're the heroes of survival. Think about it. If you want a species to thrive, you make procreation pleasurable, right? That's the first center doing its job. And the second center, well, it's all about consumption, safety, and pleasure. It makes sense. When you feel safe and well-fed, life is in balance. But here's the thing, these centers are energy consumers. They draw from the vital field, the life force in your body. And balance is the key, just like in nature. Look at other species, they respect the timing of mating, they don't overconsume, they stay in balance, unlike us humans who swing from extremes. Now, as we move up to the third center, we're talking about power. It's like that ring in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, a symbol of power. But the real power, my friends, lies in a higher frequency, love. Each of these centers has its own frequency, carrying information and intent. When energy moves into these centers, systems in your body begin to change. Activate the first center, and a mind is born there. Yes, you heard me right. Consciousness or energy moving through neurological tissue is mind. When any of these centers is activated, it comes with a different consciousness, a different intent. Now, let's talk about the fourth center, the heart. It's the bridge to our divinity. When energy reaches this center, it's not about consumption anymore. It's about expansion. It's the gateway to love, gratitude, freedom, a whole different frequency. And guess what? Putting your attention on this center not only creates heart coherence, but releases a whopping 1,400 different chemicals that restore and repair your body. Feeling gratitude, love, freedom, it's a different ball game. This is where selflessness begins. The game changes when you shift from selfish desires to a heart-centered approach. Can you activate this center and make love to someone? Absolutely, but now it's about giving, a different kind of consciousness compared to the first center. And when two hearts come together in true love, there's a beautiful exchange of energy, a growth, a summation of energy. It's not a depletion, it's an expansion. So you see, energy sits in the first center, but when it moves into the second because you feel safe, or into the heart when you feel love, you're on the path to a profound transformation. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the fascinating world of quantum physics. You see, we've been stuck in this mindset that everything is about physical matter, chemistry, and atoms. But here's the revelation. It's the invisible energy that truly controls the physical world. And yes, I'm talking about thoughts and beliefs. Quantum physics introduces us to the field, invisible moving energy that influences the physical world. Sounds a lot like what we call spirit, right? Modern science is reconnecting with ancient spirituality, affirming that we are energy beings residing in physical bodies. So why is this important? Because the invisible stuff, the energy, is more powerful than the physical. It's time to exercise our thoughts rather than just our wallets. Thoughts create the science, and it's consciousness that shapes the world, as quantum physics tells us. Here's the kicker. 95% of what happens in our lives is driven by the subconscious. Yep, that sneaky part below consciousness. You might consciously desire success, love, or a great job, but if your subconscious is programmed differently, guess who's running the show? It's not the external world, it's the hidden world within you. This is where we need to wake up, because playing the victim to an unfulfilled life isn't about the external world conspiring against us. It's about our internal programming, our subconscious beliefs that silently shape our reality. Let's dive a bit deeper into the incredible power of this magical mantra. Now, what makes it so magical? Well, it's not just a string of words, it's a powerful tool designed to reprogram your subconscious mind, the hidden director of your life's script. Imagine this. Before you slip into the world of dreams, when your conscious mind is winding down, that's the perfect moment to engage with this mantra. So, what's the enchanting chant? I am the creator of my reality. I am in control of my thoughts and emotions. I release the past and create my future. Now, those words might seem simple, but trust me, their impact is profound. It's not merely about reciting them like a mantra. It's about truly embodying them. Feel the resonance of each word within the depths of your being. Let it resonate like the gentle hum of a soothing melody, sinking deep into every cell of your existence. Here's where the magic intensifies. Visualization. As you repeat these words, conjure up the imagery of the reality you desire. Picture it vividly, as if it's unfolding before your eyes in this very moment. Feel the warmth, the colors, the sensations. Let it be as real to you as the air you breathe. Now, why is this so potent? Consistency is the key. When you repeatedly utter this mantra, it's like sending a series of powerful messages directly to your subconscious mind. Think of it as a gentle but firm rewrite of the script your subconscious has been following. You're not just saying words, you're taking the reins of your thoughts, emotions, and the ever-persistent echoes of the past. It's a conscious effort to guide your internal compass towards a brighter, more empowering future. You're telling your subconscious, hey, we're in charge now and we're steering this ship towards the destination of our choosing. Imagine it like this. Your subconscious mind is a vast library filled with books of your life, each page containing the stories, beliefs, and patterns you've accumulated over the years. Now, when you repeat this mantra, it's like taking a pen and rewriting the narrative. You're introducing new plot twists, empowering dialogues, and uplifting endings. It's akin to being the author of your own life story, and this mantra is the ink that transforms the pages. The more you write and rewrite, the more your subconscious starts to absorb and believe in this new narrative. It's a gentle persuasion, a loving negotiation with the deeper layers of your consciousness. Now, let's talk about control. As you consistently repeat this mantra, you're not just chanting empty words. You're asserting your authority over your thoughts and emotions. You're declaring, I am the creator of my reality. It's an affirmation that echoes through the corridors of your mind, reinforcing the idea that you hold the brush to paint the canvas of your life. Remember, thoughts are things, and when you consciously create positive thoughts, you start molding the energy that shapes your reality. You become the master of your own destiny. So as you embark on this journey of self-discovery and transformation, let this mantra be your guide. Repeat it with intention, feel its vibration, and watch as the magic unfolds in your life. You have the power to create the reality you desire. So repeat this magical mantra, embrace the transformation, and witness the beautiful changes that follow. The hardest part about change, really, in creating the life that you want, being defined by a vision of the future instead of a memory of the past, is not making the same choices you did the day before. And the moment you do that, you step into the unknown. When you begin to realize the unknown is the perfect place to create from, that void of unpredictability, that uncertainty, that unfamiliarity is really the quantum place of uncertainty where all manifestations come from. So when you and I become comfortable living in that unknown place, I think then that we begin to manifest the things we want in our lives. So for me personally, I want to execute and be defined by a vision of the future instead of the memories of the past. So most people's brains are organized to reflect everything they know in their life. Their brain is a record of the past. And if you feel the same way every single day, and feelings and emotions are the end product of past experiences, it means number one, nothing new is happening in your life, and number two, those emotions are keeping you anchored to the past. If thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body, and how you think and how you feel creates a state of being, most people are literally biologically, neurologically, chemically, genetically, and even quantum-wise connected to a past. So then the fundamental question is, can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain has literally changed to look like the experience has already occurred? Now, the latest research in neuroscience and neuroplasticity tells us we can change our brain to look like the event has already occurred. And can we begin to emotionally embrace a future reality that's a potential in the quantum field? And begin to emotionally embrace it to such a degree that we fall in love with that future reality, that our body, as our unconscious mind, begins to believe it's living in that future reality in the present moment, and we're signaling new genes and new ways to change our body to look like the experience has already occurred in preparation for the event. When you truly do this properly, you're not waiting for your success to feel empowered. You're not waiting for your wealth to feel abundant. You're not waiting for your new relationship to feel love. You're not waiting for the mystical moment to feel awe. So if you're talking about manifesting your dreams, well, it only requires two things. It requires a clear intention. An intention is a vision, a possibility. The moment you say, what would it be like to be healthy? What would it be like to be wealthy? What would it be like to have a new home? What would it be like to have a great job? And you get this idea in your mind, that's intention. Then you write down the details. Okay, I want to travel around the world. I want to have great benefits, great insurance. I want to work with really cool people. I want to have a chance to be creative. And you list all of those individual elements to fortify your dream. The more you get clear on those details, the more your brain begins to work in new ways. Anytime you make your brain work differently, you're changing your mind. Now, the moment you get inspired and you begin to feel what it would be like to live in that future, your body is getting a chemical sampling, an emotional sampling. It's getting a taste of the future. So the first thing you have to do is you have to become conscious of your unconscious thoughts. You have to notice your automatic habits and behaviors. You have to become aware of your emotions that keep you anchored to the past. And if you can become so conscious of the unconscious states of mind and body that they would never slip by your conscious awareness again, you're becoming familiar with the old self so you don't return. Then if you begin to think about new ways of being defined by a vision, plan your behaviors, review them in your mind. Now, if you keep doing that over and over again, nerve cells that fire together, wire together. You begin to become familiar with a new state of mind. At the same time, if you can emotionally cultivate your inspiration, your joy, your enthusiasm, the head of the experience, by repeating that over and over again, cultivating that state, it's going to begin to become familiar to you. So then the process of change then requires unlearning and relearning, breaking the habit of the old self, reinventing a new self, pruning synaptic connections, as we say in neuroscience, and sprouting new connections. It doesn't matter how young you are, how old you are, in shape, out of shape. Not even if you've ever meditated before, it doesn't even matter. That's when it gets kind of cool, because this is when you start believing in yourself. And when you believe in yourself, you believe in possibilities, right? When you believe in possibilities, you got to believe in yourself. People are waking up and going, wow, it doesn't matter your skin color. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter how healthy you are. It doesn't matter how young you are, how old you are, in shape, out of shape. Not even if you've ever meditated before, it doesn't even matter. It's a formula, and you don't need 40 years of dedication to meditation to get it. You just got to understand the formula. You're going to figure it out sooner or later, and it's going to get easier and it's going to get fun. You know, my rock bottom was sitting there, and it was like a meta perspective of myself, you know? And I could see myself sitting on the edge of the bed, holding these bottles of pills to knock myself out so I can sleep. And that's when I decided to get well in that moment after I'd gotten all those no's. You'll never forget that moment. That is the moment that defined you. Paying attention is being present. And it's a skill just like anything else. The more you practice it, the better you get at it. And you know when someone's present with you in your life because they're paying attention to you. And you know when they're not present with you because they're not paying attention to you. So where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So if you have all of your attention in the present moment, you're conserving a lot of energy to create with. If I'm talking to you and you're thinking about where you're going to go for lunch and who you're going to go with and how you're going to get there, and I'm talking to you, you left the present moment and your attention went to some future. And your energy will go down and you won't be able to comprehend what I said. If you start thinking about what you should have said at the staff meeting 3 days ago, and I'm talking to you and your mind is back in the past, you're siphoning energy out of the present moment into the past. People are constantly siphoning their energy into a familiar past or a predictable future because that's where their attention is. And the stronger the emotions that we feel to certain problems and conditions in our life, the more we pay attention to them. So we give our power away to our ex. We give our power away to that big problem. And that's creative energy that we should be able to use to create a new future. Now the person's back in the past. But if they become aware that they're siphoning energy out of the present moment into the past and they settle the body back down into the present moment, that's a victory. And those victories add up. And you're telling the body in that moment that it's no longer the mind, that you're the mind. And that's a victory. You become aware that your body wants to get up and move and you're in the meditation. And you tell your body, you bring it back to the present moment, you settle it back down, you are training the animal. That's a victory. Now you're executing a will that's greater than the program because most people lose their free will to a program. Now you're telling the body, I'll tell you when we get up, not when you want to get up. You're not the mind, I'm the mind. And that's a victory. If you keep doing this and you stay with it, sooner or later the body's going to surrender to a new mind. And when that happens, there's a liberation of energy. The body is freed from those habituations and those emotions. The body's going from particle to wave, from matter to energy. And all of a sudden you're dialing down the anger. You're dialing down the vigilance. And the body now is being conditioned to a new mind. That is the present moment. And when you're in that present moment, something really amazing happens. You forget about you. You're basically just an awareness. You're in the unknown, and that is the perfect place to create from. So it turns out that when people do this properly, they heal themselves of anxiety. Why? Because they're no longer obsessing about some future. When they find the present moment, they heal from their depression because they're not hopeless and powerless in their past. The body's conditioned now. This realm has an infinite amount of space. Space is eternal, and we experience time as we move through space. When you feel that feeling and it's visceral, no person, no thing, no experience will stand in the way between you and that vision, and you will be initiated by the universe into wealth. Once you start feeling unlimited, once you start feeling abundant, once you start feeling worthy, now you're teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. Now it begins to come to you. You become the vortex or the magnet to your destiny. You are not going anywhere to get anything. You are actually collapsing space and time, and you are drawing the experience to you. You are the vortex, because when there's a vibrational match between your energy and that potential that exists in the quantum field by tuning a radio dial, when you lock into that frequency, if you keep revisiting that energetic signature over again every single day, then you don't have to go anywhere and get it. The new job finds you, the new house actually finds you, the new relationship finds you, because you are the vortex that's drawing the experience to you. The universe only gives us what we think we're worthy of receiving, so we got to come initiated into this and understand it. If you want to create a new life, a new personal reality, you got to change your personality, which means you better start thinking about what you've been thinking about and changing it. You begin to become conscious of your unconscious actions or habits or behaviors and modify them, and then we have to begin to look at the emotions that we live by every single day that keep us connected to the past and decide, do these emotions belong in our future? So most people are trying to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. You literally have to become someone else. And can you select a new possibility in the quantum field and begin to emotionally embrace that future every single day to such a degree that your body, as the unconscious mind, the objective mind, does not know the difference between the experience in your life that's creating the emotion and the emotion that you're fabricating by thought alone, to the degree that you begin to signal new genes and new ways to change your body to look like the experience has already happened. Now, the latest research in epigenetics says it's absolutely possible. Now think about this. Every day, installing the circuitry, every day conditioning the body into the emotion of the future, that your body begins to change to look like it's already happened. Now this is where it gets fun, because now you no longer have to go anywhere to get it. If you think that your thoughts have something to do with your future, just from a theoretical standpoint, that your thoughts create your destiny, and you think 60 to 70,000 thoughts in one day, and 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts as the day before, well then your life isn't going to change very much as long as you're thinking the same way. If you're not being defined by a vision of the future, then you're left with the memories of the past. Is it possible then that the way you think and the way you feel can begin to produce effects in your outer world? Now that isn't something that you swallow in one bite. It's a process of gaining knowledge. It's a process of practice. It's a process of experience. Once you start seeing those synchronicities, those coincidences, those opportunities that start to fall into place, because you're experiencing change in your outer world, if you're doing the work, you're going to start paying attention to what you're doing inside of you that's producing the effect outside of you. Once you correlate the changes of what you're doing inside of you with the effect you produce outside of you, you're going to pay attention to what you did, and you're going to do it again, and all of a sudden you're going to start believing more that you're the creator of your life and less of the victim of your life. Those same thoughts lead to the same choices. The same choices lead to the same behaviors. The same behaviors create the exact same experiences, and we anticipate the same feelings or emotions from those experiences. And those emotions are the payoff that drive our very same thoughts. So our biology, our neurocircuitry, our neurochemistry, our hormones, and even our gene expression will be equal to how we think, how we act, and how we feel. And how we think, how we act, and how we feel is called our personality, and our personality creates our personal reality. That's it. I want people to begin to understand that thoughts are very powerful, feelings drive our thoughts, and that they can begin to create a better life for themselves once they understand some of these principles. We live in a world where often when people think about visioning the future, they vision stuff. So you have a vision of the car you want, or you have a vision of an amount of money you want, or you have a vision of a home you want, and you see this with people with their vision boards. What's your take on that? And is that the right type of visioning? And what is the right type of visioning? Well, we do so many different variations because I think people integrate information differently. And all of those cars and homes and whatever that is, there are symbols of what it looks like when a person actually arrives at this concept called abundance, right? So if those things help them to associate with something that creates a feeling of abundance, and they're building their vision board to help them to get clear on their intent, then that's fine, because they're associating objects or things or material things that they'll say, that's when I know that I'm abundant. That's fine. Other people will say, look, abundance just means that I have more than I need, and I'm happy with that. And for them, there's a feeling that is associated with that. And when they begin to dream about their future, they may see themselves in a scene or see themselves a certain way. I don't care what it takes for the person to get there, because once they have their abundance, and this happens quite a bit in our work, when you finally have everything you want, there's only one thing you're going to ask yourself: how am I going to contribute to the world? How am I going to make a difference? So we use different tools to help people to get to that point. But if the person's doing the vision board and they're saying, when I get my new car, I get my new house, I get my new relationship, then I'm going to feel so great. Well, then they're back to the program, waiting for it to happen, for them to feel the emotion. They're believing their outer world has to change in order for them to feel better. There's no effect of drawing the experience to you that way. So the person has to use those tools to get them into the emotional state for them to feel like it's already happened. Now think about this. If you get up from a creative process and you feel grateful, you feel a love for life, you feel a joy for existence, you feel a passion for the moment, you will not be looking for your future because you'll feel like it's already happened. It's the moment that we start feeling those self-limiting emotions, that we feel separation, and then we start looking for it again. Well, then if you're waiting, you're not creating, you're in separation again. So then whatever it takes for you to move into a state of being, and what is a state of being? Thoughts are the vocabulary of the brain. Feelings are the vocabulary of your body. How you think and how you feel creates your state of being. So then if you wake up in the morning and you come back to your senses with a clean slate and you say, I don't feel anything, you say, well, let me start thinking about all the problems in my life. Well, all those problems are connected to different people or different objects or things at different times and places. The moment you remember your problems, a memory is a record of the past. You're thinking in the past. Every one of those problems has an emotion associated with them. So all of a sudden you start feeling unhappy, you start feeling bitter, you start feeling frustrated. So now your body's in the past. So then most people then create a state of being that's connected to their past. And if they're in the familiar past, then they are going to crave the predictable future, and they're going to fall back into routine. So then we want people then to get very clear on that vision of their future, however they do it, and begin to combine that clear intention with an elevated emotion. And the stronger the emotion they feel from the vision they're creating, the more altered they feel inside of them, the more they're going to pay attention to the pictures in their mind. And now they're remembering the future. The knowledge creates awareness. Awareness creates consciousness. Consciousness and energy are connected, so there's a change in energy globally going on with the world. Now that knowledge and that change of energy has effects on paradigms that are no longer a vibrational match with that new level of consciousness. This is the time we've been waiting for. This is where it's happening in the Milky Way. This is happening here because there's a true coming of a new consciousness. It's not one person that's coming. It's a collective consciousness that's emerging. If you look around the world right now, whether you're looking at the economic model or the political model or even certain aspects of the religious model, the environment, the medical model, there's several different parts of our culture that's beginning to collapse. If you study human nature, historically, we always wait for crisis or trauma or disease or diagnosis, both as an individual and as a culture, before we decide to change. If you look at this and you study it in history, it's a sign that something new has to be born. Because the old model of reality begins to change, something else has to replace it. So we have two ways that we actually face crisis. We can either face crisis in a state of emergency, which in the beginning of a crisis is healthy, or we can face crisis in a state of creativity and innovation. If you're addressing a financial crisis or a crisis in a culture and everybody is selfish and everybody's living by those emotions, then they're pushing their way to get to the head of the line. They're competing, they're forcing outcomes, they're using very primitive systems to try to take care of themselves. We know from the physiology of the brain that most of the blood supply goes to the hindbrain and away from the forebrain. Those chemicals create a gap between the way things appear in our life and the way things really are. In other words, we're viewing reality in an altered state, so we don't see possibility. We feel separate from each other. We are competing and striving to get to the head of the line by using our cunning, manipulative, egocentric ways to get there, and we're very controllable. Fear is very controllable. Competition is very controllable. Anger and war divides individuals. Now, that is not a way to address a crisis, because the service to self, or taking care of the self, is the exact thing that enhances the crisis. Because if you and I are all doing the same, if we're all doing the same thing, then a culture becomes more divided. It becomes more disintegrated. It becomes more incoherent. And possibility then is not part of the equation. So the other state of mind, if you can view crisis as a great opportunity brilliantly disguised as an impossible situation, and you have to match the conditions in your environment with a new mind. Now we're talking about greatness, because innovation and creativity and a new way of thinking and a new way of being means that we can't do the same thing from the past. And so in history, cultures that are individuals that overcame their environmental conditions were considered mystics and saints and leaders and charismatic leaders. They were individuals that saw past the illusion of the present reality. When we begin to become innovative or creative, the brain begins to switch. We begin to turn on the forebrain, the frontal lobe, which is really the crowning achievement of the human being, and we begin to ask bigger questions. How can we create a new way of being in a world that's falling apart? How can we begin to create a new system to adapt to these conditions? And I think that people, when they begin to feel empowered by possibility, when they begin to see that the death of the old paradigms means the beginning of a new paradigm. How many people actually believe in the idea that the way you think has some effect on your life? So how many people actually woke up this morning and consciously created a future? You know, the biggest reason why people don't do it is because you don't really believe it's true. You see, if you knew on a gut level that it was absolutely true, would you ever miss a day, and would you ever let any thought slip by your awareness that you didn't want to experience? So your brain, according to neuroscience, is organized to reflect everything you know in your life.